for turning the wheel of Dharma. Thank you, Lama.
Oh, thank you once again to have me for this teaching. And before I start, we start the prayer or teaching, I apologize that I missed last teaching. It was solely, my own lack of, mindfulness, and so from then on, I can also thank for missing, and that it sounds very funny, but missing that schedule, because that brought me full awareness, and so I've now written everything on my calendar, so I don't have excuse. And before we start the teaching, I would like to remind myself and everyone to have a moment to reflect and think that this teaching today, whether it's an hour or so or longer, is for the benefit of all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment and have that pure motivation is the one we count as a practitioner. And otherwise, like myself and yourself, could be wasting time for another hour, which we don't want that. So, we take that opportunity and please meditate on bodhicitta for a moment. So, because bodhicitta is the essence of practice of Dharma, and it is not coincident. It is principally able to generate based on Guru's blessing. And so please recite the lineage prayer. Yes, I'm having a little issue with my display here. Let's see. There's a way to make it bigger. Okay. So,
maybe under the view menu, I'm not sure if it's there, Lamala.
Thank you. Under the view menu.
On the top, I'm not sure if that's how it works. Present view, yeah. If you go to that, go back and then the present view, maybe try this.
Do you see bigger?
Oh. Yeah.
What does this mean? Give subtitles a try.
But we don't need subtitles.
Okay. So can you see it readable?
Yes. And click on the little orange one with the CC.
Oh, okay.
because it gives you subtitles. Okay, that's it.
All right. Oh, interesting. Thank you. But does it look small? Can you read it, Max, guys?
I can read it on my screen, but yeah, it is small, and I don't know why it's not showing full screen.
Okay, full screen, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
What about use slideshow on top? Does that work?
I'll use slide. There we go.
Okay.
I think you and I together becomes the real deal. All right. Let's chant the lineage prayer. Ganza Lada Jangela Lada Mojanga Jaya Maya Jaya Jaya Mangara Branja Ganja Kunde Yemendo Jela Jela Ganda Yanda Lama Gamen Jeje Bala Lan Jeje Sadon Lan Jeje Razon Doje Jange Gawanya Dojo Doje Jange Gawanya Dojo Yezo Jamba Nongan Dawa Nongan Majeje Tijanja Vechime Longan Jamba Yonzo Balaji Aden Deva Yaje La Jango La Dendeya Temba Gone Mobile Do Jaja Zo Dela Jagala Jana Yamanya Jabba Da Lambo Jamba Gane Zanjaba Kajurumbo Jala Zaje Yende Zanje Ganda Nyana Gade Zanje Gale Benga Panga Zava Lama Remboje Dozo Drove Lama Jala Sanje Sanje Joa Janje Sanje Sanje Bada Yada Vigini Jodna Nama Bada Sanje Dova Yada Yada Yindi Nodana Yada Yama Junge baza dewa judo tamba chunu nya chayenda zende tanya zingi baza wanya baza baza dudu jibaru moja zada de la gonzen baza So as I reminded once again, we are doing this for the benefit of all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment. Therefore, tonight the presentation of no title practice. It's a very for Santa Monica KTC. It's kind of not much pressure on me. It doesn't mean that I don't take it lightly. I don't mean that, but I always have a kind of a opportunity to pick it up, topic, or the conversation goes by or teaching goes by. And of course, it has to do with everything about our practice. And past few weeks or months, I had the opportunity to teach in Jacksonville KTC, Dallas KTC, then one kind of memorable trip that I took is in Canada, which asked by Lama Tashi. Those of you maybe know Lama Tashi from Toronto. And in 2017, the great master Sangye Nyingpa Rinpoche gave the entire Kanju transmission, all the Buddha's teaching collection, which is about 103 volumes. And Rinpoche was, as usual, so kind. Not only he, even though my life was changed, someone is a lay lama, but he was just only think about Buddha's teaching, and he commanded me, you must go to receive that entire Kanji transmission from Sangye Nyingpa Rinpoche at the monastery. And not only that, Rinpoche was, he basically bought ticket for me, sponsored very much, And the reason being is that he said that in the future, because you can read fast, and may benefit many students. And when I went there, because I was very pressured, kind of, because I know that every moment and every day, every hour, every minute was very special, because Rinpoche's he put so much effort, and so my commitment was to receive the entire transmission without falling asleep. I mean, that's that's hard sometimes, because it starts at 8 a.m. And then reads throughout the day. The good thing about Sangye Nyingpa Rinpoche, he finish around 5 p.m. So it's kind of intense, but it's not that intense. When I went to Jetsa Rinpoche's empowerment of all the mantras of authentic practice of Kagyu lineage, that was really intense because Rinpoche starts at 8 a.m. and finishes at 8 p.m. Then we have to walk to another place to, there was no space at the monastery. So sometimes there are a lot of rains, and so we have to walk in the rain for maybe actually 50 minutes or 20 minutes. And nothing to compare how our great masters did. And so during that more than 1 month long transmission, and we were extremely lucky because we just thought that maybe we only received the transmission of Kanju, but Sani Nyingpa Rinpoche was able to include all the sadhanas, all the the long practice, everything what they chanted to the monastery within that month. And so we received pretty much everything what our Kagyu lineage, Karma Kagyu lineage reads. And so when I came back, Lama Tashi told me, you must come to Toronto, give 2 sutras, and one is the 8,000 verse of Prajna Paramita, and the other one is called Collection of Dharanis, which has many sadhanas and sutras, collections, and so many mantras to recite. We were talking about mantras, and mantras not easy to recite. And so I finally got to go there because of the COVID and Rinpoche's passing and my personal life, everything, kind of changed, couldn't go there, but finally I was able to. Recently went to Toronto, and then Lama Tashi's command was like, you have to finish everything within 3 days. Yeah, so it's a lot to read, but he said you have to finish 3 days. And then for that 3 days, they normally do puja from 8 a.m. until like 11 a.m. I mean, that was a lot of pujas, and then I don't really have much time to read. So I kind of politely told him, I will make sure your command was, I will try to finish 3 days, but you have to listen to me also. It's more like negotiation. And so I said, I have to read at 8 a.m. And then we begin the second day, we read it from 8 a.m. And basically finished within 2.5 days. So it was very nice trip. And Lama Tashi is really someone only think about Dharma and only focus on lineage. And it was very, if those of you who don't know Lama Tashi, he was very close to our Khenpo Rinpoche. And so the Prajna Paramita Sutra that I read, sometime I did mention about that during my other teachings. And if any of you were in that talks, you might get bored, but this sometime I will talk about it. And so generally, every day when we face our daily life and our challenges, day goes by, and we feel so real, and we feel that everything is pretty much stays same thing. Yesterday, today is another, could be boring day, or could be another frustrating day, and we try to catch up or daily activities, and so that's pretty much we caught into. But Prajna Pramada talk about everything what we see, forms, everything what you hear, everything what we experience, and everything changes. Every second changes. We just did prayer, lineage prayer. We talked a little about each other, but you might think that I'm the same person. Actually, I'm not. I'm changed from a moment ago, or actually a few minutes ago. You saw me on screen, but it doesn't stay. Every moment changes. And same with your own body, everything around you, you feel it's exactly same, but everything changes, including our emotion, our stress, we change. Because the reason why we are always so stressed and frustrated is because we don't see the reality. When we can't see the truth, which is constantly changing, when we don't see that truth, we don't admit that truth, when we don't follow the truth, that's how we suffer. So Prabhupada Pramada talk about, every day change, every moment change. What you see, everything, like a reflection, nothing is there. Happiness change, suffering change. And so when we see this kind of a presentation by Buddha about everything changes, and maybe our perspective in our daily life is can be different, because the moment you wake up in the morning, you know that while you are walking, while you are talking, while you are eating, even while you are arguing, everything changing, everything is just passing by, everything is very temporary. The emotions are temporary, and there's nothing is so permanent. And so the example is like like a river. It's like a waterfall or such, and we normally feel that I just saw a Hudson River, maybe, or other rivers, but the one you saw is already changed, already passed. So this is something the Panyana Brahmata so they talk about the 8,000 verse, everything changes. And also it states that not only everything changes, but also everything is inherently emptiness and transparent. Our emotions so real, but our emotions constantly changing every moment, every second. Our thoughts change, our emotions change, and everything is passing by. And also it's in nature is emptiness. But the emptiness is not totally biased. It's not just one entity as emptiness, but also in that emptiness, there's also richness. That is so-called wisdom, the so-called Buddha nature. So there are three things going on with this Prajna Brahmata text. First is don't think everything is same, every day is same, every moment is same, constantly changing. And the second is that in that within that change, and not only it's change, but also it's emptiness. Inherently, there's no any exist, and inherently emptiness. And thirdly, it's not only emptiness, but also it's arise the wisdom, which is the richness of the emptiness. It's doesn't mean that everything is empty, nothing you can experience, but you can experience without any referential, any kind of identity. And so that is part of our daily meditation, and you can something apply that while we are walking, while we are talking, while we are eating, while we are doing whatever you are doing, even right now, maybe you are drinking tea, or you are a little bit restless on your seat, or maybe you are you use another screen, or maybe you are thinking something else, but everything is constantly changing, and nothing we can hold on to it, because the moment we try to hold on to it, and also like if you feel like I'm stressed, I feel frustrated, so that is actually fixation. We are very fixed. We are very fixated on. I'm very frustrated. And although I read that sutra many times, but I felt that while I was reading, sometimes I feel I read like 4 hours without stopping, because I was kind of very lost in the meaning of the sutra. It's, of course, all the Buddha's teaching is very profound, but that sutra is so profound, the 8,000 verses of Paramita. And so that is, I thought maybe talk about a little bit of that. And then the second sutra is, it's more like a collection from how to, some sutras, more sutras, how to purify negative karma, some dharanas to remove obstacles, all these different presentations. Sometimes there's a mantra that someone is someone is having like a child, and have like a good pregnancy or like good rebirth, and some of those sutras to purify negative karma, some of those sutras for wealth, some of those sutras to protect from spirits or humans and such. So there are various, which is actually second sutra is quite hard to read, but there are many useful small stuff. And then in addition, that there was one gentleman asked to recite another sutra, which is much smaller, and known as the Liberation Sutra. And this is something very well known in Tibet, that I'm kind of end of a little cold. It's not COVID, so don't worry. So we have a, we have a social distance, so I can cough as much as I want. No, but please don't make too much noise. And so the third sutra is Sutra of Liberation. This is, maybe you heard it before, that the Tibetan tradition, it's very common that when our parents get older, and we always ask the masters what kind of preparation like military actions should be prepared. For example, like what kind of meritorious actions or virtues we perform in order to block the rebirth in lower realms. And common Tibetans actually pretty much focused on having higher rebirths, such as human birth is something they do. Common people, they do seek for, come back as a human being and continue connect Dharma, and not so much, those individuals, the common people who are not educated, does not know too much about enlightened or bodhisattvas, but they always ask to what kind of prayer or military actions perform in order to block the rebirth in lower realms. And so the sutra that I have mentioned, the Liberation Sutra is always recommended, and something that we either the parents, or like my father always read that, or my mother can't read, but something they ask, the masters would say maybe recite 100 times or 1,000 times to prepare or block the rebirth in lower realms. Or they might suggest to do 100,000 Amitabha mantras, or they may ask to do like Akshobhaya puja. So they're constantly preparing for death. Speaking of that, basically, Tibetan believes that the moment we are born, and if we constantly get accumulation of merit and practice, everything is preparation for death, because even though we have a good rebirth, but always seeking for better rebirth, get better and better. Of course, once you learn about the Dharma and Sutras, then we seek for enlightenment. A lot of them also seek for Amitabha's pure. And when my parents, they actually kind of we retire our parents when they get to around 60 or something. So actually before 60s, like nowadays, like the generation is a little different, because nowadays, like even like in Tibet, if you are in 40s, still pretty young, but early years, like if you get to like 30 or 40s, you are getting older, especially if you get in 50s, then we always encourage our parents to prepare, or they themselves prepare for the next journey. Of course, everything's impermanent, but we expect the elders normally go first, which sometimes can be a mistake. For example, my own case, I have many brothers and sisters, and my older brother, when I went back to Tibet 2015, and I took a pilgrimage, I couldn't take all of my, brother, sisters, so I kind of chosen to take 3, the older ones. And unfortunately, the next year, one of the younger sister passed away. So you can't just always predict. However, that's how you kind of prepare. So, speaking of the preparation of death, so my father and mother, we already asked Kisons come up, our other masters, what kind of virtues perform for them to take rebirth in Amitabha's pure. So sometimes they said, recite a lot of Amitabha's mantras or do a lot of pujas, and myself kind of sponsored puja for yearly puja for at the nunnery, Tanga nunnery too, for my parents. So this conversation came about because of the Liberation Sutra. So Liberation Sutra is something to recite for that preparation. And so this is, I think, especially the last part of the conversation about preparation of death is kind of serious. I think it's something very important. And I was reading the wrathful and peaceful deity chanting, and of course, every practice or chanting is very supportive, but especially those peaceful, wrathful deities practice also recommended because of preparation for death. And peaceful, wrathful deities, we don't really practice. Those of you who followed Kimbo Rinpoche, he always emphasizes on Amitabha's purum, because Amitabha's purum is extremely easy to take rebirth, even like we are just like us now, so beginner, and we are constantly struggling with daily struggles, emotions, frustration, stress. I mean, maybe those all can be same. And when we struggle, sometimes we just take a breath, say how much, how we spend our day. Sometimes we don't think about that, and there's possibility that I take myself as an example. We may spend like 70% of the day could be a lot of frustration, which is a little bit scary, a little bit disappointing, because those struggles of emotions, stress doesn't really only suffer throughout the day, but also it imprints, leaves a lot of negative karma that I've created, and it's more like we are already sick and then eat all those things that doctor says not to eat, and end up really we're sick and die. Hope that will never happen. Of course, we all pray, but so that's why I think as a practitioner, as Prajna Paramita mentioned, everything changed. Everything is constantly changing, which means that if someone is able to reflect about changiness, and every second everything changed, then we may not have that very strong fixation on reality, not reality things. And even if we are so stressed, we do know that it's not real in its truth, and then we will have a sense of more transparent rather than take everything so seriously. So that's why daily practice does count. If we have like a daily, hourly, every minute have emotions, negative thoughts, that is very severe, especially for practitioners, and equally, if it's very effective, emotionally very effective, equally, it should be effective with practice. That's the only solution, not because someone will protect us or expecting that someone will liberate us, by fortune. And that is just wishful thinking. I mean, that's a very good concept, but that's not the truth. So generally, we are responsible for what we create, and so that's why daily practice does matter. And once you have a habit of doing this, either it go really good or bad, even though you do daily practice, because if you just habit of doing the practice daily, and then there's possibility that while we practicing, and we just constantly also on the phones or watching TV, or talking with the dogs, all kind of stuff, and sometimes we kind of there's possibility that what am I did I do the right freedom bodhicitta, or where am I now? So I'm sometimes kind of lost, and that kind of very mixture with what are the things with practice is not effective, especially if it's mixed with negative emotions. It's effective in negative way because we are practicing, but at the same time we are constantly occupied by negative emotion. It's simply because once again we don't see things change, like Brahma talk about the sutra. Every second change, everything changes, and nothing stays. So if we have that patience and to think about and visualize, everything changes, everything's passing, and nothing stays. Equally, those emotions that we struggle with also change. It does. It's every second change. So we may not have that kind of very scrutiny kind of suffering. So that is something I talk about, and so here I kind of I think I may cover 5 topics overall. The number one is the change. Change is real. Everything changes. Physically change. The form that we see change. Sound that we hear change. Experience, the emotion that we experience changes. And everything changes. So that is number one. And the quality of understanding everything change is we may not have that very strong fixation, and we may not take everything so seriously, good or bad. If something we normally say terrible thing happens, may not be that terrible. And then the second is especially mental level, emotional change, emotionally changed, but also at the same time, it's not only change, but it's emotions we experience is inherently emptiness. It's but that emptiness is not like we can't just say, oh, everything's empty, nothing I can feel. This is not numbness. It is ritual wisdom, which is primordial wisdom or non-differential or Mahamudra. Then third is has to do with the Liberation Sutra and operation of death. It's something we all could use. It's called Jigo in Tibetan. Jigo means blocking rebirth in lorams. Jigo is something very common. You can sometimes ask like a very special master, like his own Kamapa or the great Rinpoches, what kind of Jigo we do in order to block rebirth in my in the future. Preparing and so that is kind of fourth, and then the fifth is also recognizing that whatever practice we do, also everything's a preparation for death, because our go, they sometimes in Tibetan saying that, the Yama sent us back to do more practice. And there's a colloquial, people have a lot of colloquial way of saying that the Yama sent us back and to do something good. But the whole purpose of being this life in this body and this world is to get better. And that's only we can answer. Are we getting better? Or are we getting worse? Because when we ask people how's everything going, and especially couples say, yeah, we're doing good, we're doing our best in terms of relationship, and are we really doing better, or you're doing our best to improve our relationship, couples, such? That's only we can answer. So that's it, just like no topic and probably no sense either. But if you have any questions, regarding with what I pretty much mumbo jumbled for a while, and please ask question. Thank you. Oh, Lama Tsotmi issues. I see, Lama, you look good. You're sitting up. All I see is your lip is moving, but nothing I can hear it, but it's all impermanent.
There, now you can hear me.
Oh, Lama, how are
Yeah,
you?
yeah, Kempo Ujjan, he gave me a few treatments and some cordyceps. And
Yeah, you feel much better, Lama?
absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. You look happy and you look up.
Yes, and I just happened to see your Facebook post, so I just clicked on to see what you were up to. And it's nice to see
Yeah.
your face and hear your voice and hear your teachings.
Yeah, thank you, Lama. Thank you for joining. Anybody has
Thank you
any
for coming.
questions?
Thank you for coming, Lama Yeshe.
I have a
Any-
question, Lamala. So
Yes,
you
please.
mentioned you did 2 sutras,
Mhm.
8,000 verse Prajna Paramita, and then you said collection of, and I missed the collection of what?
They call dharanis. Dharanis is like mantras, but it has various, this is many short scriptures, also many dharanis is like long mantras, and it's one of the worst to read. I mean, what I mean is like so hard to read. It's so hard to read, And so when I was little, my father taught me how to read. I so thankful to him, even though I got all the discipline, let's say, nice way. As I was, when I was 11 years old, my father and I used to read. You probably heard this story again. You might fall asleep, but some of you heard of this. And so my father used to invite by the villagers and to recite sutra, the same sutra I will talk about. And then one time, both my father and myself invited in a different, respectively different by different families. And I went to one family, one of them. So he finished within 6 days. I finished within 4 days, and he came back. He wasn't happy. And he came in like he didn't even normally drink tea, but he didn't even drink tea. How can you finish this 4 days that I taught you how to read? And I know how fast you can read. When villagers invite you, you never fake it, because the villagers, they always give you something return money or something. And I actually gave him the people gave him money or cheese or something. He wasn't part of that, so he wants to test me right away. Why? So he sit next to me. I can feel the vibration. The vibration wasn't so good. My father was in this. I know the sense, right? So I have to be extra cautious. But at the same time, I knew that I could read faster than him. So we read slowly together because I can't make mistake. This so do or die this time. Literally. We read slowly, and he was good. I read it up fast. He tried to catch me, and he was struggling with the words. And then I read much faster, as fast as I could. And then he barely catch me, and then he just said, okay, from now on, I never test you or something like that. And that was a mistake because after that, I go to other villages. I was only 11 something years old, and all the kids were wild and playing outside. I was so bored. I just, read a little bit and then just bunch with the pages just to flip, and I wasn't doing that good. But so anyway, yeah, that's the sutra.
I think you're known as the Lama of fast reading, right? Aren't you known for that, Lama Karma?
I kind of, I understand because I was known before I came here because Tonga Monastery have 100 something monks, and I was the #1 fast reader. That was my strength, and they always send me to different places. Then I get to read more sutras. I got faster and faster. And but be honest with you, the other day when I went to Toronto, I got slower, and I could see, that I got getting older because I could see all the syllables, but I can't pronounce, quickly. So yeah, but I was once like that. Yes, still pretty fast.
Well, when you come here, we'll hold you to that.
I have a question,
Yes, please.
also not an important question, but I understand that to be qualified as a Lama, you've done the traditional 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat. The higher Lamas, such as Khenpo Karthar, have more elaborate titles, but I don't actually know what they signify. For example, Khenpo is a title. I assume that it's bestowed in response to some effort, some work that the
Good
Lama has
question.
done, but I don't know specifically what.
That's a good question. Well, when we did 3-year retreat, Rinpoche doesn't give a Lama title and ask Lamas to teach right away. He kind of watches and he just examines, not just to you've just finished a 3-year retreat, I'm a Lama, I can teach. Rinpoche's case wasn't like that. He was kind of watching from behind your behaviors, your, if you are really teaching your motivation. He was just master of it. And so once he put the trust in that Lama, and he reads the Lamas and the behavior and the motivation, especially motivation, right? Sometimes you finish 3 retreat, you feel like you're a Lama, and you can do whatever you want and you can say whatever you want, but Rinpoche always know how to, put back on your seat instead of 100 something miles, speed driving. So, and then after analyze for a while, then he would give that title. Actually, not only that little, sometimes like a letter or something. And I think. We have the Lama Kati and Lama Tsotomishi and Lama Lozo, all of those. And myself, when I finished first 3 retreat, and I thought I'm done. And he said, no, you do second retreat. And I finished second retreat, and then I said, I want to do third retreat. He said, no, you are done. No trouble. So here, it was hard, seriously. I know some of you also know me that when I traveled from 2008 to 2018, it's not, teaching is not an easy job, but Rinpoche wanted me to go through that change and difficulties, and I learned a lot. That's all I would say. And but in regard with the Kimbos, that's we're talking about like someone monastic college, like in India or others. So Rinpoche, it's a Rinpoche's, and the Rinpoche guidance is only 3-year retreat. So it's once you have your guru's blessing, then you feel quite different. You maybe make good or bad connection. You are making connection, and I feel like during my travels, I always not really able to. Even still, I can't present teaching very well, and a lot of flaws and struggles. But I also know that whatever connection I'm making, there's so much blessing.
But is the term Kempo granted after graduation from the college, monastic college, and then it's also granted as an honorific title? In a way, it's higher, like an MA and BA, MA, PhD. The higher you get, but it's not on the academic level. It's a recognition by the primary Rinpoche of achievement. Is that? I think that might be what you were getting at, Bruce. How that title comes. In addition, also the title Rinpoche. That's a very high honor. How is that granted? Or who would? Does Karmapa decide who are the Rinpoches or what?
I may not be expert on any of those, but I just don't take everything what I say seriously. But I think the Kempo, who finished like many years of study, become Kempo is more like a professor. It's not totally PhD person. Once the Kempo Kenshin, like the great abbot or something, they become really PhD such one. Sometimes we call Acharya Kempo, is like more like Acharya. And so there are all kind of degrees. And then Rinpoche, as you have mentioned, it's really, it's precious. It's a very special, like Kempo Kanta Rinpoche. That was given title pretty much by, a 16th Karmapa Kempo Rinpoche, Kempo Kanta or such. And then nowadays, like, I do think sometimes like, lamas or Kembos, slowly they have their own centers, and slowly like then it kind of, because it's very precious to the students. Sometimes students put that up like Rinpoche, and may not be necessary, right? It's like the Rinpoche is for them it's a pressure. Doesn't mean that it can be. I think Rinpoche is quite high and quite something. That's the song I was waiting for.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So, but I think once again the Rinpoche is as you have expressed, maybe like his own Karmapa or something that someone should be bestowed, I think, but nowadays, there are a lot of Rinpoches and students. For them, it's Rinpoche, because their teacher is very precious. But once again, you definitely can hear this different answer, or more profound way if you ask our Kempo Ujin, or in the future. Any other questions?
Yes, please. Are we going to continue this session with the sutras? Is that what you say? Or the sutras would be in another time or in another place?
No, I'm not teaching any sutra. I was talking about what I read during my
Okay.
Toronto trip.
Okay, thank you. Lama Lap, why you're not using the title Rinpoche?
Me?
Yes,
You kidding me?
I'm serious.
What was the
Oh,
question?
that's a bad karma for me to use. Her question is, why don't I use Rinpoche, you know? It's not like Amazon, you can order Rinpoche. This is, it's, Rinpoche means nothing for me, you know, it's like, seriously, the title means nothing, you know, I was given, did to Lama and, whatever, if I helping, he's so, Khenpo Rinpoche, he sees something or he just want me to pure for my negative karma, that's more than enough, you know. And I think Rinpoche, the title is really sometimes doesn't mean nothing. It's just, another burden. So especially for me, it's not so, as I made very clear, it's not someone, I want to say Rinpoche and you just put that, that's not how it works. But thank you, though. Thank you. We all have precious human birth, Anthony. We should do daily practice, That is why we should do.
So you recommend a daily practice?
Sorry?
Do you recommend a daily practice? And during the teaching, you have said that maybe in the evening we have to check if we have practice bodhicitta or not during the day, no, something like that, no? That's what you recommend.
I recommend 24 hours practice. It means that before we go to bed, seriously, I regret at times like during the day I made a lot of mistakes, maybe, lost my temper or such. I just confess and then pray to Buddha, especially pray to Khenpo Rinpoche, visualizing your heart kind of become inseparable from you. And so that's how we should, which means whole night, like 8 hours, whatever you sleep, becomes meritorious action. And then during the day, that is what Khenpo Rinpoche recommends to all of us to do, like daily practice. That's how I follow. I try to follow.
Okay. And then I would like personally to ask you because, well, my daughter is getting a little bit, well, grown up. She's 18 and something, and maybe she doesn't need me so much. So what can I do to see what is the best place for change? Because I think I for me a change is going to be okay, but how can I decide? How can I see things? I don't know. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know the details, which I always don't have the good answer either. And you really kind of think about positive, you've grown, raise her and already, and, it's something to rejoice. And then next is something, you don't have to always ask lamas or rinpoches, life-wise, worldly-wise, you decide what's the best and where to get work and what's the way to, safe place and how can I practice it. But those are something I think not a lama or rinpoche is necessary to involved because you know better than anybody else.
Okay.
Could I ask a question? Am I correct
Okay.
pronouncing your name Rosser or Roser?
Sí, Rosé, sí, Rosé.
Rosé. And we do ask folks oftentimes who we don't recognize to tell us about yourself. What country are you in and how you came to Dharma? Because as a Sangha, we we often share stories amongst ourselves, and then working with each other as lay people, we come up with a solution for questions such as you just asked. What would be a next step? For example, have you visited Karma Triana Dharma Chakra Monastery, or if you're in Europe, a monastery or teacher there, are you getting advice from them? Just out of curiosity, tell us a little about yourself.
Yes, I actually I live in Andorra, which there is no Dharma center around. The closest would be Kalu Rinpoche Center in the Pyrenees or in Barcelona, maybe. And this is not 3 hours away, 2.5, something like that. And well, my daughter is 18 and I'm not working. I'm not finding a job right now. I mean, maybe in Barcelona I have the opportunity, but then it would be similar, because if I have to pay for her, and then if I have the job, it's what I gain, I have to spend. So it's not so different for me.
Have you visited the Kalu Rinpoche Center there that you
Yes,
mentioned?
I think I'm going to go there
Uh-huh.
and that's a good idea. Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Lama Karma.
Thank you for clarification.
Thank you, Lamala, for coming tonight. So I
Thank
think
you.
we hit the a little bit over an hour mark. So maybe we end the practice and the teaching tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for your patience and always listen to my stories, repeating same thing again and again. But I also know that our little talks, it's always we're active, and which Rinpoche always wish to active, all the centers, and I really thank to everyone and putting this together. And so we dedicate the merit to this session for the benefit of all sentient beings, and I will present the dedication prayer, and we also pray Lama Ishi be in good health, long life, one of Khenpo Rinpoche's favorite Lama, and he is going through a little health condition, but he's much better, which is very lucky, and all our merit. And I pray for you, Lama, and I personally would like to dedicate the merit for all sentient beings, long life of his sons come up, all the great masters, and also offer this merit to our peerless and compassionate Rinpoche, and may this be a little flower offering to him. And also pray for the world, all the gun violences and all the wars and all the suffering going on, nothing to compare what we think. We are going through difficulties, and may we realize that, and also pray for all of them. So today I would like you to chant the last line, the 7th branch prayer dedication. O chan chawa dang chö jen sha pa dang ji su ye rong ku shen so wa ye ge wa cham ze da ge ji sa pa dang je da ge chong chu che ngo wo. English, I dedicate to enlightenment whatever slight merit I have gathered from prostrating and offering, confession and rejoicing, requesting, and from making supplications.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Lamala, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And we will. I appreciate everybody coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sun-
thank you, and see you all
Thank
next
you,
week.
Sunshine State.
If you wanna,
Florida.
if anyone wants to donate to Lama Karma, you can go to our
Thank you.
website, santamonicakTC.com, and there's a link there. Sorry, we forgot to mention it in the beginning.
No, I did mention it in the beginning.
Oh, you did?
for
Okay,
us.
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it, so sorry.
Yeah.
Nice to see all of you.
Yes,
Nice
nice
to
to
see you,
see you
Lama.
too,
Thank you,
Lama.
Lama Karma.
Okay. Good
Bye.
night.